Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're tackling something pretty interesting. Thinking like a monk.
Hmm.
It's based on that book you shared by Shetty. You were looking for ways to, really get insights without feeling totally swamped, right?
Exactly. And this book, Think Like a Monk, it offers a really, well, a unique perspective, I think, on finding some peace and purpose today.
Yeah, it does seem timely.
And what's cool is it's not pushing a religion. It's more like a mindset,
Yeah.
focused on things like rebellion, detachment, rediscovery,
Purpose focus.
right, discipline, service. Shetty, he was a monk himself, so he draws on that. He lays out this three-stage path:
Yeah.
letting go, growing, and then giving back.
Okay.
So our mission today really is to pull out the practical stuff, the takeaways you can actually use.
Right, so listeners can kind of filter the noise, maybe understand their values better, handle negativity.
Cultivate intention, find purpose,
Yeah.
basically find more calm, more fulfillment.
Think of it as the highlight reel, maybe? A shortcut to the core ideas without reading the whole thing.
Exactly. A deep dive into the essentials.
Okay, let's get started then. First up, letting go, or as he calls it, clearing the dust.
Yeah, and the first thing that really jumps out is that he stresses this isn't some like exclusive club, this monk mindset.
Right. It's accessible.
Totally. He tells stories about monks from all walks of life,
Yeah.
biologists, circus performers, finance people, even rock musicians.
Wow, really? Circus performers?
Yeah, people who had, regular lives before.
Yeah.
So the point isn't changing your clothes or doing rituals. It's internal.
It's a mind shift.
Exactly. It's about freeing yourself from the grip of things like, well, ego, envy, lust, anxiety, anger, bitterness, all that stuff.
That internal clutter. And he has that metaphor, doesn't he? The storeroom.
The dusty mirror, yeah. Our identity is like this mirror, but it's covered in dust.
And the dust is?
External stuff. Opinions, expectations, OEOs, he calls them.
OEOs, okay.
And they stop us seeing ourselves clearly, seeing our values. So step one is you got to clear that dust.
Makes sense. So how do monks traditionally do that? Is it about removing distractions?
It often is, yeah. Things like limiting speech, simplifying possessions, basic needs. Shetty experienced it firsthand in the ashram. Simple clothes, shaved head, no mirrors.
Wow. Sounds intense.
It is, but the principle applies to us too. He's not saying give everything up.
Right.
It's about recognizing the non-essentials, filtering them out so you can focus on what actually matters to you, removing the external noise to get internal clarity.
Okay, filtering. And he connects this to something really practical like time and money, right?
Yes, exactly. How we spend our time and our money, he says, that shows what we really value, often unconsciously.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Like, think about how quickly an hour watching TV can fly by, but maybe an hour having lunch with family feels longer sometimes.
Uh-huh. Or maybe grabbing that expensive coffee every day versus buying healthier groceries.
Precisely. Or scrolling social media versus, say, 5 minutes of meditation. It's about noticing where your energy, your resources are actually going.
Is it about long-term growth versus just instant gratification?
That's a big part of it. Are you investing in skills, relationships? Or just chasing the next quick fix? Like if you pay for a gym membership but never go, but you spend loads on takeout. It makes you think, doesn't it?
It does. And he suggests a little exercise for this, doesn't he?
Yeah, a really simple one. For a week, just pause. Before you buy something non-essential or plan your free time, just pause for a second.
I'd ask.
What's the value behind this choice? What am I really trying to get here? It's not about judging, just noticing.
A quick reflection.
Exactly. Over time, it helps you make more conscious decisions aligned with what you actually value.
Okay, so that pause helps filter those OEOs, opinions, expectations, obligations.
Right. It's not about blocking the world out entirely. It's about being a conscious filter.
And how do you know what your values are to filter against?
He suggests looking at qualities you admire in others, like who do you respect? What is it about them? Trust, honesty, resilience. Often, those admired qualities point directly to your own core values. They're like your compass.
And then filtering interactions, too. He mentions that.
Yeah, asking yourself, does spending time with this person bring me closer to who I want to be or further away?
Sometimes it's obvious, like wasting time versus doing something enriching.
But sometimes it's subtle, right? You just feel kind of drained or uneasy after being with someone.
Yeah.
The idea is just to tune in. How do different interactions affect you? Do they align with your values, your ideal self? Think about a time you felt inauthentic. Was it an O, an E, or an O driving it?
Opinion, expectation, obligation. Got it.
So creating that space, that stillness, Lets you clear the dust and see yourself more clearly, based on your values, not others.
And that ability to filter becomes key for the next part, right? Dealing with negativity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which brings us to part 2, negativity. The evil king goes hungry. Love that title.
Me too. So what are the big negativity traps?
He calls them the cancers of the mind: comparing, complaining, and criticizing.
The 3 C's again.
Yeah. He argues they actively create unhappiness. And he shares this intense exercise from monk school.
Oh, yeah. What was that?
They had to tally every single criticism they spoke or even thought.
Oh,
And for each one, they had to write down 10 good things about the person they criticized.
10. That sounds humbling. Really forces you to check your inner monologue.
Doesn't it? And then he talks about types of negative people we encounter.
Like?
Complainers, victims, blamers, controllers, know-it-alls, drama magnets, pessimists. You know, the types.
We all know some of those, yeah.
But his point isn't just labeling. It's about recognizing the patterns of behavior.
So you can deal with it better instead of just saying, oh, they're annoying or toxic.
Exactly. Understand the dynamics. And he suggests adopting the perspective of an objective observer.
Stepping back emotionally.
Yeah. Not necessarily physically leaving, but just detaching a bit from the intensity. He quotes Father Thomas Keating, saying, "We don't have to be upset by others. Our distress often comes from our own emotional programs."
So recognizing the patterns is step 1. How do we actually handle the negativity then?
Well, a key insight is separating the behavior from the person. Negativity is a trait, he says, not their whole identity.
Like clouds hiding the sun.
Exactly that analogy. The person's core is still there. And anyone can have those cloudy days, right? It helps foster some empathy.
And he mentions the Dalai Lama's advice.
Right. If you can, help others. If you cannot do that, at least do not harm them. Our response is crucial.
Okay, so practical strategies. That complaining, comparing, criticizing tally for a week.
Yeah. Try to go a week without doing them. Track your failures. The goal is to see the number drop as you become more aware.
And listing negative thoughts to see where they come from.
Are you judging others by standards you don't meet yourself? Complaining without owning your part?
That leads to his spot, stop, swap idea, doesn't it?
It does. Really useful. First, spot the trigger. What makes you feel negative? Like maybe envy seeing vacation pics online.
Okay, spot the envy, then.
Then stop. Just halt that negative thought spiral.
And the crucial part is the swap.
Yes. Don't just suppress it. Find the seed of desire underneath that negativity and nurture it in your own life.
So envy of travel means?
Maybe plan your own trip. Or if you spot comparing your career, stop, then swap by focusing on your growth plan, some professional development.
Shift focus from them to you. Become the person you want to be.
Exactly. And related to that is mindful communication.
Choosing words carefully.
Yeah, using them with purpose. Instead of just venting to someone who can't fix it, communicate directly and constructively with the person who can.
Frame complaints productively, like, I understand why, but I'm concerned about the impact.
Precisely. Much more effective.
And then he gets into forgiveness, which feels like a huge topic.
It is. And he makes this distinction between, like, conditional forgiveness, I'll forgive you if you apologize.
The transactional kind.
Right. Versus what he calls transformational forgiveness, which comes from within. You forgive without expecting anything back, not even an apology.
That sounds hard.
It is, but he argues it's about freeing yourself, accepting you can't change the past, accepting imperfections in others and yourself. It opens the door to healing.
And self-forgiveness, too.
Definitely. And then there's the highest level, wishing them well.
Wishing well for the person who hurt you.
Yeah. He tells that Pema Chodron story about her ex-husband becoming her greatest teacher. It's about releasing that bitterness for your own peace.
Wow. Okay. So that's negativity. What about fear? That's part 3, right? Dive deeper to find the root.
Right. And he starts with the physical side of fear. How our bodies react first, heart racing, sweaty palms.
That fight or flight or freeze.
Exactly. Panic or freezing is often that disconnect between body and mind.
And he uses his own story about tracing fear back.
Yeah, the meditation on exam fear. Seems simple, right? Fear of exams.
But it wasn't really about the exams.
Nope. Deeper down, it was fear of disappointing his parents. Fear of what people would think. When he hit that root, not being able to make his parents happy, he called it a full-body aha moment.
So the surface fear often masks something deeper.
Often, yeah. He also touches on chronic stress from long-term fear, how bad it is for health.
Cortisol and all that.
Right. But interestingly, he also mentions the benefit of intermittent stress. Like Successfully handling smaller challenges actually builds resilience.
Makes you stronger for the next thing.
Exactly. Facing fear and hardship builds confidence. It helps you tell the difference between real threats and, imagined ones or echoes from the past.
He gives that example of the attorney, doesn't he? Afraid of failure.
Yeah, successful attorney, but felt trapped. Her fear of failure was really covering up a desire for a totally different career.
So getting intimate with the fear, as he puts
Yeah.
it, examining it.
Yes, it can actually give you empowering information asking, what's the worst that could happen? Again and again can peel back the layers.
And he links fear to attachment, our need to own and control things.
Our self-image, possessions, relationships. The monk mind practices detachment, recognizing everything's temporary, borrowed.
Because clinging causes pain.
Right. If you accept things are impermanent, fear can shift towards freedom, actually.
And if fear feels overwhelming right now.
Breath. Always back to the breath. A simple breathing exercise can reconnect body and mind, stop fear from stopping you. He uses it before talks, stressful meetings.
Simple but powerful.
Very. And finally, he points out fear isn't always bad. It can motivate. The question is it driving you towards what you want or just making you cling to false security?
Which sets up the next part nicely, right? About motivation and intention.
Perfectly. Part 4. Intention beyond blind ambition.
Okay, so understanding the why behind our goals.
Exactly. He talks about the illusion of success, how we chase things we think will make us happy without really checking our underlying drive.
And fear isn't a sustainable motivator.
Not long-term, no. It hinders performance. And just chasing personal gain, material stuff, doesn't guarantee happiness either.
Right, that difference between success, money, respect, awards, and happiness, feeling good, relationships, making a difference.
Yeah. And culture pushes success so hard, but happiness rates haven't kept up. He mentions that research about money.
The $75,000 thing. After basic needs are met, more money doesn't equal much more happiness.
Right. Social factors, trust, connection, they matter way more for well-being, which ties back to values, doesn't it?
It really does.
Yeah.
So intention is key, making conscious choices.
Absolutely critical. And intentions aren't fixed to motivations. You could serve others out of ego or support family out of love. It's about knowing your true why.
Descending into the valley of your true self, as he puts it, weeding out false beliefs.
Yeah, really digging into the whys.
Yeah.
Be honest. Keep asking why you want something. What's the feeling underneath? Happiness, security, confidence.
And even envy can be a clue.
It can. A clue to an unmet need. Explore it with curiosity, not judgment.
That's a helpful reframe. And then the to-bes alongside the to-dos.
Love that one. Don't just list what you need to do. List who you need to be to achieve it with intention.
So if the goal is financial freedom.
The to-bes might be disciplined, focused, passionate. True satisfaction comes from believing in the value of what you're doing, not just ticking boxes.
And again, breathwork helps here too, aligning with intention.
Always. Calms the system, centers you, reduces stress, helps you connect with your authentic self, your intentions. Simple breathing exercises, anytime, anywhere. It connects back to managing fear too.
It all seems very interconnected.
It really is. So as we kind of wrap up this deep dive for you, the learner, we've hit on these core monk mindset ideas from Shetty.
Letting go of the noise.
Managing negativity.
Understanding fear's roots.
And acting with clear intention.
It provides a real framework, doesn't it, for shaping thoughts, actions, relationships more consciously.
Definitely. And remember that little detail from the start, the child monk teaching older kids.
Yeah.
It just shows wisdom isn't about age or status. It's that inner poise, something to keep in mind on your own learning paths.
Good point.
Of course, this is just scratching the surface of the book. We'd really encourage listeners to reflect on these ideas, see how they apply to their lives.
Maybe exploring those 3 stages, letting go, growing, giving in more depth.
That could be a great next step, yeah.
Okay, so a final thought to leave everyone with.
How about this? Pick one recurring challenge in your life, just one. What might happen if you approached it with the kind of intentionality and detachment we've been talking about? What surprising insights might pop up?
Something to chew on. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.